everybody. I think we'll get started. So please sit down. It's great to see everybody here on this lovely March day. I'm Libby Garvey. I'm a member of the Arlington County Board, and I'm your, I guess, called Mistress of Ceremonies today, and delighted to be here. I want to welcome everyone, especially we have our keynote speaker, Mayor Allison Silverberg from Alexandria. It's nice to have our Alexandria neighbors here. We also have my colleague John Weistad is here from the board, our county board, and we have Mark Schwartz, our manager, is here. Mark. Jimmy Benzano, our fire chief, is here. Is there anyone else I should like officially introduce? Everybody is just great. Thank you. Well, Diane Kresh is here, but so is from our libraries, and Bryna Helfner, yes, from head of our communications office. I never do quite remember the name, Cape, right? It's something, anyway, thank you, Bryna, you're doing a great job. Anyway, it's all about communications. So that's why kind of we're all here. We're going to be sort of doing a little thinking and talking, and I want to thank you all for being here for Women's History Month. I hope you're going to enjoy the program. And just a little thought thing for while we're going through this. Everybody think a little bit about a woman in your life or somebody you know who persisted or who was really important to you. That might be, I think we all have mothers, daughters, sisters, grandmothers, wives, whatever. I mean, the world is full of women who persisted. Men too. In fact, everybody who's here, pat yourselves on the back because you had to do some persisting just to be here today. Just living takes a little persisting, right? Yeah. So if you'll please all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The emphasis being for all. Liberty and justice for all. So I get to start off reading a proclamation. And these are always kind of fun. I'll read most of the whereases, not quite all of them. And it always gives you a little sort of sense of setting the context. So, Proclamation for Women's History Month. Whereas, women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of Arlington County, Virginia, our nation, and the global community. And whereas, American women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements, especially the peace movement, working towards a fair and more just society for all. Whereas these achievements have been critical to the growth and development of our economy, our cultural and artistic impact, our social advancement, and all areas of accomplishment, and whereas despite these contributions, the role of American women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in the literature, teaching, and study of American history. And whereas the 2018 National Women's History Month theme, Nevertheless, She Persisted, honoring women who fight all forms of discrimination against women, honors women who have successfully challenged the role of women in both business and the paid labor force. And whereas each year since 1987, March has been designated Women's History Month in our nation. Now, therefore, Katie Crystal, chair of the County Board of Arlington, Virginia, does hereby proclaim March 2018 as Women's History Month in Arlington County and encourage all residents to join in honoring our history and celebrating the contributions of women. And here we are. So, to get started, one of the fun things about these events that we do is I get to learn about people in our organization and people in our county, which I'm really looking forward to. So first, we're going to hear from Tiffany Wesley, Arlington County Fire Department Captain 2. And she has been with the Arlington County Fire Department for 24 years and is the first African-American woman to be promoted to the rank of Captain 2. She is a nationally certified bomb technician and bomb commander. Hope we don't need your services here for a while, but anyway, just saying, that's great. And she was station commander for the largest and busiest firehouse in Arlington, which is Station 5 in Crystal City. Captain Wesley served as acting fire EMS battalion chief from December 2016 to June 2017. She's married to Lieutenant Eric Wesley of the fire department, who is here with us today, I think. And they're blessed with 4 beautiful children and 1 grandchild. And she is going to come and share with us some of her perceptions and thoughts. Please come forward.
Thank you. On March 18, 1818, America experienced the greatest blizzard in history. It was called the Great Blizzard of 1818. It was a cold Arctic chill in the air, wind gusts up to 85 miles per hour. The entire New York City experienced a whiteout. At the same time, New York City also experienced an influenza outbreak that knocked many off their feet. In fact, most of the volunteer firefighters of Oceanus Company Number 11 could not get out of bed that day. So as the church bells rang, signaling that there was a fire somewhere, as it did in those days, there was one left healthy in the firehouse. The firehouse cook, an African-American slave by the name of Molly Williams. On that day, Molly Williams, she cooked and she cleaned. She cleaned so much that she even knew how to operate the apparatus. So as the church bells rang, I imagine Molly persisted in her thoughts. I imagine Molly said, there could be a loss today if I sit and do nothing. There could be a loss of a home, or there could be a loss of a life. On that day, Molly Williams, in her calico dress and checkered apron, grabbed that hand-drawn pumper and trudged through the snow and put the fire out. On that day, March 11, 1818, Molly Williams became the first female firefighter in the country. On that day, Molly Williams became volunteer number 11. And on that day, it's been said, the men said she was as good a fire lady as any of the men. On that day, Molly Williams persisted. Today, I stand on the shoulders and in the shadows of the women who came before me. Today, I stand, and by the own definition of Merriam-Webster's definition of persistence, is to continue stubbornly and resolutely in spite of opposition, importunity, or warning. To persist means to continue to exist, especially past a usual, normal time, like the 24 years that I've been here. To the women who continued, the women who endured, the women who stayed, the women who pushed past, the women who abided by, the women who survived, nevertheless, she persisted. To the women in the fire service that I look up to the Chief Tony Washington and Rosemary Cloud, who rose through the ranks, who kept chipping at the glass ceiling until it broke. To the Mary Beth Michaels, nevertheless, she persisted. To the women in the police department, to Tanya Chapman, who started right here in Arlington County as a police officer, who broke the glass ceiling and now stands as the police chief in Portsmouth, Virginia. Nevertheless, she persisted. To the women in the military, to Elizabeth Dunwoody, who became the first four-star highest ranking officer in the U.S. military. She retired as a general. Nevertheless, she persisted. To all the women in government agencies, to the women entrepreneurs, to the stay-at-home moms who fought through obstacles, nevertheless, she persisted. And of course, I cannot stop until I acknowledge the reason why we started the slogan, nevertheless, she persisted. To Senator Elizabeth Warren, who in 2017 stood on the Senate floor and tried to oppose the election of Jeff Sessions. She was silenced on the floor, but nevertheless, she persisted. Of course, I could go on and on. There are so many women that I stand in awe of. From Michelle Obama, who at the 2016 Democratic Convention said, when they go low, we go high. To Dolores Huerta, the co-founder of the United Farm Workers, who has been fighting for 40 years, who started the slogan in 1972, "Si se puede," yes, we can. And as I think back to over my 24-year career, that's right, I said 24-year career, and I think back to all the nevertheless, she persisted moments. Even as I began to apply for the fire department, and people told me I was too small and would never make it in this male-dominated profession, nevertheless, she persisted. And as I began to apply and take the physical agility and failed miserably 2 times, and on my 3rd final attempt, I passed the physical agility and was accepted into the fire department. Nevertheless, she persisted. And as I started taking promotional exams and was discouraged when I wasn't getting promoted, to the heartbreaks and heartaches, to the discouragements, to the discouragers and the haters, to the setbacks, the obstacles, and the opposition, to the feelings of less than and devalued, nevertheless, she persisted. And now for the happy ending of this story. There is a happy ending, most of which you have already heard in my bio. Thank you. As I stand here as the station commander of the largest and busiest fire station in Arlington County, Fire Station number 5, and as I stand here as the only African-American female to be promoted to this rank, which I stand here and I resolve to not leave here with being the only, my most proudest moment is probably being the wife of Lieutenant Wesley and the mother of my 4 beautiful children, who, 2 of which have followed me in this legacy, the nevertheless, she persisted. My beautiful daughter is a DC police officer, public safety, and my son has now joined the ranks of the DC Fire Department. Nevertheless, she persisted. And in closing, I thank you for allowing me to share my story and to remind you of so many others. I thank you for allowing me to encourage you that after all of the persisting, if you follow the footprints that have already been laid, you must first choose courage over comfort. You must first believe that you bring value to the table, to the conversation, to the boardroom. You must first understand that failing is a part of the world, and failing is okay, as long as you learn the lessons from it and move on. And lastly, you must believe that all things are possible. For what your mind can conceive, you can achieve. In a world full of fear, be courageous. In a world full of lies, be honest. In a world where few care, be compassionate. In a world full of phonies, be yourself. Because the world hopes for you. The world sees you. The world is inspired by you. The world can be better because of you. Nevertheless, she persisted. Thank you.
Well, that was a wonderful start. Thank you. Some of those went, Molly Williams, boy, am I going to remember that story. I'm going to tell that to my daughters when I get home. That's just great. So next, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Patrice English. And she's been with Arlington County for over 12 years in the Department of Human Services. Currently, she's an emergency services clinician. Previously, she worked in the TOW and PATH programs that assist the homeless in Arlington. Ms. English is the mother of 3 wonderful sons. She says one of her greatest achievements and challenges is raising them to be men of integrity and respect for women's issues. Women who inspire her are her mother, Octavia English, also Barbara Jordan, Malala Yousafzai, and authors Octavia Butler and Anne Lamott. Patrice will be reading Phenomenal Woman by author, poet, and activist Maya Angelou. Patrice.
Good morning, and thank you, everyone. I'm happy to be here. When I was approached to participate, I was initially asked to sing, and that's a stretch to sing along. But I agreed and said, if it's Women's Day, if it's Women's History, why not Phenomenal Women by Maya Angelou? Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. I walk into a room just as cool as you please, and to a man, the fellows stand or fall down to their knees. Then they swarm around me, a hive of honeybees. I say, it's the fire in my eyes and the flash of my teeth, the swing in my waist and the joy in my feet. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. Men themselves have wondered what they see in me. They try so much, but they can't touch my inner mystery. When I try to show them, they say they still can't see. And I say, it's in the arch of my back, the sun of my smile, the ride of my breasts, the grace of my style. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. Now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say, it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. 'Cause I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's all of you, and that's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing Maya Angelou to us today. She's a special guest. That's really cool. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. So now I'm honored to introduce our keynote speaker, a colleague and a friend, Mayor Allison Silberberg from the city of Alexandria. And she was sworn in as mayor on January 4th, 2016, after serving as vice mayor of the Alexandria City Council from 2012 to 2015. I happen to know she's only the second woman to be mayor of Alexandria, right? Yeah. She has over 25 years of experience in community leadership and public service, and Mayor Silberberg is an author and lifelong advocate for social justice issues. Her writing has appeared in the Washington Post, the Dallas Morning News, and on PBS.org, and she's here with us today. Mayor Silberberg.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be here in this chamber. I've never been here before, and I'm thrilled to be introduced by my good friend, Libby Garvey, who has served Arlington County in so many ways. It's countless. And of course, John Weistad as well. Thank you for all you do. It truly is an honor to be in your chambers. And so And I'm glad you referenced Patsy Tyser a moment ago, and I'll speak about that in a minute. So I am honored to be with you for Women's History Month. And I would also, in addition to thanking Libby Garvey, I want to thank Kate Barbie. Thank you. And to the whole committee and Angelette for organizing this wonderful occasion. I think it's important to honor Women's History Month. And I was intrigued to learn more about the 15 outstanding women who have been honored throughout this year for their fight against discrimination with regard to women and girls. As the 2018 theme for Women's History Month articulates, those women persisted. As I was preparing for my remarks today, I learned of the passing of Linda Brown Thompson, just like the women that the National Women's History Project has honored this year. Ms. Brown was a pioneer in the movement for equal rights, and yet very few Americans, and myself included, are aware of the pivotal role she played in this struggle. As a third grader, she wanted to attend the segregated elementary school close to her home in Topeka, Kansas, in order to avoid the long bus ride and walk to an all-black school miles away. And what a simple request, and yet that request led to legal challenges in the courts that ultimately ended with the landmark Supreme Court decision of Brown versus Board of Education, which ruled that school segregation violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Now, that decision helped to dismantle the system of racial segregation in the United States. Just one little girl wanting to go to her neighborhood school changed the course of history in our country. Nevertheless, Linda Brown did indeed persist. Now, these are the stories this is just one story that we must tell so that all Americans are aware of the role that women have played in shaping our history. I think the title of the award-winning film, Hidden Figures, speaks to the fact that many stories of women's contributions and their courage are indeed hidden in the shadows of our history. And we must continue through organizations like the National Women's History Project to shine a light on what women have meant to America and indeed the world. Some of you might know that I authored a book called Visionaries in Our Midst, Ordinary People Who Are Changing Our World. And while I was writing it, I had the great honor of sharing really the stories of individuals who saw an unmet social need and decided to do something about it and make a difference. Some of them were men and some were women, and they found a way to get things done for the sake of others. But for the women in my book, and Visionaries in Our Midst, these stories shed a light onto a number of hidden women right here in the Washington area who found a way to meet those needs against great odds. Their stories inspire others to learn what women with a dream and determination can accomplish. Women like Virginia Luce Allen, who founded the Georgetown Senior Center to combat what she called the plague of loneliness among our seniors. Another, Laylee Miller Muro, who founded the Tahoe Justice Center, which is based down the road in Falls Church, to help immigrant women and girls find asylum in the U.S. from gender-based cruelty in their own home countries. And Maria Gomez, who founded Mary Center to provide maternal and child care to those who had fled the violence in El Salvador. And Shireen Lewis, who founded Sister Mentors to help women of color earn their PhD, as well as encourage girls of color to stay in school, excel academically, and go on to college. And Aretha Lyles, a former homeless mother of 3, who founded Choice to help youth who have been suspended from school, to help them get back on track and receive academic and counseling help to ensure that they complete their education. All of these women persisted. Despite all the remnants of inequality, we've come a long way. And I have great hope that now, as Bob Dylan's song says, the times they are a-changing. As his song asserts, when it comes to the story of women's history, I'm sorry, I messed that up. As Bob, and I have great hope now, as Bob Dylan's song says, the times they are a-changing, asserts when it comes to the story of women's history. The young women of America today are demanding more and demanding it now. And America is finally paying attention. A year ago, who would have guessed that Harvey Weinstein, Matt Lauer, and Charlie Rose, among others, would be in the dustbin of history? As Oprah said a month ago, and I quote, "I want all the girls watching here and now to know that a new day is on the horizon. And when that new day finally dawns, it will be because of a lot of magnificent women, many of whom are right here in this room tonight or today, and some pretty phenomenal men fighting hard to make sure that they become the leaders who take us to the time when nobody ever has to say, 'Me too,' again." Most recently, we've seen the power of today's young women after the unthinkable school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Who among us has not been inspired by what has transpired on the national stage since that horrific event? Probably like many of you, I attended the March for Our Lives in Washington last Saturday and was uplifted as the young people spoke. I was especially moved as each young woman added their voice to the clarion call for change. They showed great strength as they spoke to the enormous crowd about their determination to make the world a safer place for all of us through common sense gun reform legislation. Now is the time for all of us to stand up and say enough. That's what they were saying. And among those incredibly young speakers was Naomi Wadler, an 11-year-old in the 5th grade at Alexandria's George Mason Elementary School. I had met Naomi earlier this month when she led her fellow students in a walkout to honor the victims of the Parkland shooting. After the walkout ended, and all the adults, we had tears in their eyes, but the children were stoic in the freezing cold, but we were all very moved to tears. But after the walkout, I spoke with Naomi and told her how impressed I was with her poise and determination. And I told her that I knew she was capable of great things in the years ahead, and said that she one day could be the mayor, or a senator, or even president. And Naomi said to me, "Well, I can't be president of the United States." And I replied, "But of course you can. You can do anything you want to be." In a very calm voice, as you saw if you watched the march, in a very calm voice, she corrected me, but respectfully, and she said, "No, you see, I was adopted from Ethiopia, and so I'm not a native-born American, so I can't be president." But her next sentence showed me the stuff that Naomi is really made of, as she said, and I quote, "But I'm not worried about that, because by the time I get to be that old, I will have worked to change that law." And I've no doubt that Naomi and other young women of her generation will change the course of our history, just as Linda Brown did years ago. Nevertheless, they will persist. As a history and international relations major at American University, I was a college intern for the American Historical Association on Capitol Hill. And I worked with then Congresswoman Barbara Mikulski's office to lobby for the formal recognition of Women's History Week. I was so proud when it was expanded years later to a full month. My great-grandmother marched in the women's suffrage movement in Boston and helped the most vulnerable despite being of little means herself. And my mother worked with Texas Governor Ann Richards on both of her gubernatorial races. And since I was about 6 years old, I've been mentored and encouraged by one of my mother's closest friends, Adline Harrison, who was the first woman mayor of Dallas, my hometown. And I was blessed to be very close to Alexandria's first woman mayor and state senator, Patsy Ticer, who is now sorely missed and who was my North Star. So I feel that I have it in my DNA to continue to fight for equal rights and recognition of the achievements of women. And one of my personal heroes, and was mentioned earlier, Congresswoman Barbara Jordan of Texas. She once said, "It is a privilege to serve people, a privilege that must be earned, and once earned, there is an obligation to do something good with it." As mayor of Alexandria, I try every day to live up to those words. I'm proud of my role in initiating and drafting the City Council's Statement on Inclusiveness in 2016, and it represents our values as a city. And in that statement, and I brought a copy of it today, it's on a poster, and in our statement, we declare that we're a city of we're a city of kindness and compassion. That we're not merely a city that's tolerant, but we're an embracing and accepting city. And that everyone has a place at the table, regardless of race, color, or sex. And that we respect the dignity and worth of every person. Sometimes we women bring a different perspective to the table. And that's a good thing. And as mayor, I have persisted in pushing for an ethics initiative, pushing for us to address all 4 of our combined sewer outfalls, even before it was mandated by the legislature, pushing for long overdue dedicated funding for WMATA with our colleagues across the region, pushing for dedicated funding for our city's affordable housing fund and dedicated open space fund. Only 21% of our nation's mayors are female. How is that possible? We need to help each other. We need to give each other the benefit of the doubt and be supportive of one another. And I'm encouraged by all the women and men who have encouraged me and have been with me. And I'm especially thankful to all the women who have said to me, "You can do this, jump in, go for it. Let's just go for it." And I'm encouraged, incredibly encouraged, and I'm sure you all are, by the recent surge of women running for public office and winning public office. It's so important to me to use my position as mayor to support policies that will help women and families. And I'm proud that our council is currently considering 2 options that would make women's lives better by offering 6 weeks of parental leave and raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour for our city employees. And these are steps that are long overdue, in my humble opinion, and I will do all I can to urge my colleagues to join me in approving these measures. Now, just as we heard Maya Angelou's wonderful poem, Phenomenal Woman, a few minutes ago, I'd like to close by quoting these words that she also wrote. "Equal rights, fair play, and justice are all like the air. And we all have it, or none of us has it. That's the truth of it. So let us all pledge today that we will tell the stories of those who came before us and upon whose shoulders we stand. We will support the young women who are carving new paths forward in our struggle for true equality. We will strive to be the women who make change possible. We will ensure that we will all breathe the same air of equal rights and justice. And most of all, nevertheless, we will persist." Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mayor Silverberg. That was just great. Glad you could join us today. And now, as we start to conclude, I want to introduce Melissa Lambert, who is our Diversity and Inclusion Manager, and she's going to be sharing some information with us regarding the county employee resource groups. Melissa.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to keep it very short. For those of you who have attended the other events this month, you probably already know what I'm going to say. But I have to take this opportunity to plug that we have been forming some employee resource groups starting last year and this year, and we will have one for women in Arlington County government. And I just want to stress that that doesn't mean that men cannot join. It will just focus on issues that are affiliated with women and events, and anyone can join. I want to make that very, very clear. All hands on deck, as people have heard me say that a lot, so those include men's hands as well. And what will happen is I will hold a general assembly to just discuss more about what this employee resource group will be and how we will conduct it. We'll be looking for leaders, president, vice president, as well as the secretary for the group to get it started. So we'll have a voting process on that as well. So if you're interested in that, please come talk to me after this event. And also, we have a SharePoint, a web page where you can sign up for an employee resource group as well. And if you take a look at the web page, it kind of explains what the groups are and how you can sign up, and there's forms on there and bylaws, all of that good stuff. So please go ahead and take a look at that. And again, I'm always available for questions. Thank you very much for attending.
And I have a few concluding remarks, but I'd like to get us all to thank the committee that did this. There's the Women's History Month Planning Committee, headed up by Kate Barbie. Kate, stand up and get recognized. Thank you. Thank you. These events just don't happen by themselves, believe me. I think you all know that. And I'm going to read off the other names here. They're on the program, but if you all would just stand as I call your name. There's Angela Easterwood, Yolanda Eaton, Ann Gillette, is that how you pronounce it? Lysandra Jackson, Melissa Lambert, Jackie Sam, and Cassandra Zabayos. Thank you. So thanks so much, and thanks everybody for coming. So I'm going to have Sojourner Truth, a woman whose life embodies persistence, kind of help me sum up and conclude. Isabella Baumfree was born into slavery in New York in about 1797. They didn't really keep track of those years for slaves, of course. And she had at least 3 of her children sold from her. But she escaped slavery with an infant daughter in 1826. She never learned to read or write. But in 1828, she became the first black woman to win a court case against a white man and gain her son's freedom. In 1843, Isabella felt a calling to preach, and she took the name Sojourner Truth, which is a name I just love. I'll have to just say, personally, I love that name. She became a well-known advocate for the abolition of slavery and women's suffrage. Her most famous speech was in 1851 at the Women's Rights Convention in Akron, Ohio. There's been a long time we've been doing this women's rights thing, just saying. And at that convention, lots of women, but several male ministers came, and they stood up to argue that women should not have the same rights as men, because women were weak, men were smarter than women, Jesus was a man, and the first woman, Eve, sinned. So Sojourner Truth stood up, and first, she talked about the hard physical work she'd done as a slave, and believe me, she had the arm muscles to show it. She was small, but she was strong, to make the point that women were physically strong. And then she asked those male ministers where their Christ had come from. Her Christ had come from God and a woman. Man had nothing to do with it. Finally, she said, if the first woman God ever made, and can we get the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down, all these women here ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. What an amazing woman. Never learned to read or write, born into slavery. Oh my. So here we are in Arlington, Virginia in 2018. And we have rights and comforts Sojourner Truth and our foremothers could never have imagined. Nevertheless, life can still be hard for women in ways it is not for men. But I also want to acknowledge that men have their own issues and challenges. And that's a different discussion that I think we all should probably have one day, soon. In fact, I believe the women's movement is becoming a movement for people. And I think that's the one with the LGBTQ rights, all of this stuff going on. It's about people. Let's get rid of these labels. So people can realize their full potential as humans, both men and women, and those who kind of feel like they're both. So, moving forward, I hope we can all heed the call of Sojourner Truth and persist with what I see as the newest phase of the mostly women's movement that started January 22nd, 2017. Next picture. So I assume a lot of us were there. There are a lot of pink hats. There are a lot of women. There are a lot of men there too. Just want to point that out. So today, March 28th, 2018, I think it's past time that we women, with the help of a lot of good men, turn the world back and get it right side up again. We can do it. We've got incredible role models to show us the way. All of the women we heard about today and the women we saw, Sojourner Truth. And then they're brand new 21st century models, role models, the Me Too movement, and the students from Parkland, Florida. Can we get the picture, Emma, up there? How about Emma Gonzalez? I'm sorry, I still get choked up. What an amazing young woman. So let's get this world right side up. And to me, it's all about, we need to get people of goodwill in charge. People of goodwill need to be in charge. We can do it. Si se puede. It's time. Thank you very much. And thank you all for coming. There are refreshments in the back to get you all charged up to get out there and change the world. Let's do it. Thank you.
If everybody can wait just 1 minute, we would like to thank our guests and acknowledge them and your time and your inspiring words. This was an amazing program, and we thank you for being here. We'd like for them to go into the reception area first so that they can make sure to get their lunch first. And we'll be presenting the flowers. Mayor Silverberg, thank you so much. Mrs. Garvey. Miss English and Captain Wood. Thank you.